Excellent research was being carried out, so some things were really well developed, well set up, others needed a bit more work. It was an opportunity not to be missed in my mind, because this is really the only organization of its kind, even today, in Europe, if not in the world, and certainly a significant and impactful sort of organization in Sweden, and highly exciting. So I think it was an opportune moment, and also my previous role as a film director was just coming to an end. So it was a good timing as well in many ways. So it just happened to be this way.
Yeah, coming from film, how was your experience at SciLifeLab at first? Was it sort of the same, or?
Well, obviously I knew that SciLifeLab is quite a different duck than a small EMBL associated institute like FIM that did not have a national infrastructure mandate, for instance. So clearly this was totally different in many ways. So it wasn't at all similar, but neither did I expect that. Well, I should obviously say that whatever I now say in sort of what I did, I mean, it's only a part of what we did as an organization. But if I reflect back now to the early days, I think what really needed to be done was to build trust. And how do you build trust? You listen and you build transparency. And I think those two things were first in mind, that we needed an organization that was sort of to be trusted across the country. And obviously trust you don't gain in a second. I mean, it takes years. And this obviously has been a long-term development. But that is one of the issues behind SciLifeLab's success, that everybody feels that it's a national treasure in a way, and should be promoted, and that there's much less geographically oriented tension that the whole country seems to think that way, and that's super important for the future of SciLifeLab and future funding of SciLifeLab as well. Well, I think the recruitment of an international director was one factor in that direction as well, to have somebody who is impartial towards the interest of universities in that sense. So that's one thing. As I said, transparency, good decisions, sort of decisions that are based on international review, based on sort of a fair assessment of everything that we do, and letting this to be known to everybody. And then obviously in 2019 we developed the first new roadmap for SciLifeLab and tried to engage everybody in the community in the roadmap process. So maybe that also helped with the transparency and getting people involved, because they felt like, okay, I can have an influence. And SciLifeLab is what people make it to be. It's not an organization that can be something else. So in a way it's for scientists by the scientists. Well, I think we sort of had a great start in the organization to begin with, so we didn't have to change the organization entirely. But maybe the goal was to build the trust and to get everybody along. And that has now maybe finally culminated with the launch of the SciLifeLab sites at other places as well. So SciLifeLab is truly a national organization today, and I'm very happy about that goal being fulfilled. Obviously there are many other goals that are still being worked on, and in a way SciLifeLab is never ready. I mean, this is meant to be a dynamic organization that changes all the time. And the moment that you feel that you are ready, maybe something is wrong. So that's the nature of the beast, is that we should be active and reacting, but also doing things in a proactive way as the life and society around us changes, as it does now and will do in the future. Well, this is what we've been asked often to say, what are your benchmark organizations? And I think we can name benchmark organizations for certain research functions or certain infrastructure functions, certain data science functions, but there's no place that has all of them kind of in one organization. No place that binds all 11 major universities together at a national level. So in more ways than one, SciLifeLab is really totally unique in the international landscape. Well, again, I think the right way to answer this is that SciLifeLab has developed because there's so many developments in multiple areas. Obviously, the national nature of SciLifeLab is a lot more established today and well appreciated. We have great science coming out. We have 40 young fellows that have been recruited to SciLifeLab, and now 20 new DDLS fellows, so lots of young talent. So in a way, SciLifeLab is also a talent factory that we bring new talent to the Swedish academic landscape. It is hard to say what aspect is, but if I kind of reflect on some of the developments that have taken place, obviously the fact that we made a roadmap plan led to investment from both the government and the private sector of the Wallenberg Foundation. So I'm really proud that we made SciLifeLab to grow. So for instance, between 2020 and 2024, the budget for SciLifeLab has doubled. And this was not a small organization before. So therefore, the impact and footprint of SciLifeLab has grown dramatically, and that is fantastic really to see. Another thing that I would like to say, and also still thank everybody for their contribution during pandemic, because I think during the pandemic, SciLifeLab really showed its place and showed its value for the Swedish society. And therefore, all the work that was carried out during the pandemic and now that has been carried out in the pandemic laboratory preparedness program that is still running, I think it's a unique way by which SciLifeLab established itself. And that still carries weight going forward now. So those are at least a couple of issues to be proud of. Well, challenges abound. So obviously SciLifeLab is not a simple organization. It is not an easy organization to manage because we have so many different angles of operation or functions. And I think the obvious challenge is that not everybody always agrees with the same direction to take. And then when that happens, somebody is always not happy with what happens. So obviously we can't always please everybody, and we have to choose direction, and ultimately everybody comes along. But that's taking time, and it's not easy. The second point, which is perhaps not a challenge or a problem for SciLifeLab per se, but I think this is where Sweden tends to lose. That since SciLifeLab is an organization, virtual organization, collaborative program essentially, we can't really be making easily collaborative agreements with other organizations. And I think that's where Sweden would really benefit from having a collaborative node that can act as a Swedish life science hub and sort of make agreements and collaborations with external parties, such as similar organization. We've done a collaborative agreement with EMBL, but there are many others that we could certainly do, and SciLifeLab could play a major role in helping Sweden integrate with various life science organizations elsewhere. But it's hopefully now being clarified, so hopefully this year things finally change. So let's see.
Do you think it will?
I think the legal ability question is now being just about to be solved. So let's hope that is the case. There are probably many angles of SciLifeLab who would say that I don't pay sufficient attention to them. And then there may be others that feel that I actually spend quite a bit of time in some aspect. And obviously it also varies. Wherever there are new developments, then I probably need to be spending more time, like during pandemic. All of a sudden I was spending most of my time in pandemic related questions at some point. But maybe in general terms, what really concerns the director is the external view and the broader strategies of SciLifeLab. So I'm quite keen to kind of have a close role in building the broader strategies that the director at the end is responsible for. I'm quite keen also in seeing how SciLifeLab is managed, in a sense, like how documents are presented to the board and how the board makes the decisions because that's again the job that really is closest to the director's role. But like some aspects of the science, it's better to let the scientists roam by themselves, identify the interesting questions. In many occasions the director is not needed for detailed scientific, and maybe that is not always needed at all. And also with infrastructure, we have excellent infrastructure management. It's not always the director's role to do so. But like now the DDLS program is again an example that was for some period of time 90% of my activities went into building the DDLS program. So it varies. I think that's a really good question that we often sort of decide at SciLifeLab that now something like this should be done. So I just could say cryo-EM, spatial biology. These were efforts that did not have a large user base to begin with, and they were more like opportunities that were created by SciLifeLab and funding bodies together. And now they are like some of the most important aspects of SciLifeLab infrastructure. Then there may be others that we launched as well but did not succeed that well, and that's life. I mean, that's how things happen. But then at some point such facilities that don't really deliver will be phased down from the SciLifeLab organization. So it's part of the dynamic nature of the infrastructure.
Yeah. Do you like dwell on those decisions?
Well, usually it is a sort of a long-term consensus process in building those decisions. So you have to take some risk in doing it in order to be on the cutting edge of things. So you need to do it early on, before everything points out that this is important and before everybody else has also started these new things. So I take it as a natural part of the process that we want to be proactive and not only reactive in terms of taking in new technologies to SciLifeLab. Most cases I would say it succeeds, but sometimes it's a bit more difficult than we could have imagined, or there's some hiccup in the technologies and so forth. But that's part of technology-driven science, part of life science. this is not engineering science, and therefore things are not always entirely predictable. Many people often, when describing SciLifeLab to the outside, they think that, okay, it's a lot of machines and expensive gear, and that's the heart of SciLifeLab. But the heart of SciLifeLab is really the experts and the people who run SciLifeLab. Some 600, even more FTEs that are part of the SciLifeLab infrastructure. That's where 90% of the money goes. Obviously, we've been very happy and lucky to also get equipment that is cutting edge, but it's really the staff that makes the big difference. Now I think the next phase that we just started a couple of years ago is this data-driven angle of SciLifeLab. So how we handle the data that is plentiful and is complex in the life science community, that we should be able to interpret and make use of. And that is the ongoing activities that we mostly work with. Obviously, that's usually what a director would like to see, things happening a bit faster, but being realistic, I think this is the pace that it made sense. And if we had tried to push it faster, there would have been a bit more resistance here and there, and we might have dropped a few balls along the way. So I think this is okay. But the sort of a ball game continues and the march continues. So I think we will continue to evolve much faster than university and academic life usually evolves. So I think that is one function of SciLifeLab. Be at the cutting edge, push the limits, and try to make things in a new way, and do it together with all the stakeholders that we now have with us. Well, that's sometimes maybe not the sort of a easiest sort of a director roles. I still feel myself much more as an imaginative scientist who likes to think about new ideas and innovations and so forth, than sort of a painstakingly going through detailed administrative functions. No. But obviously I don't do this alone. I mean, we have a lot of people, and now we have a broad community of like-minded people in the SciLifeLab leadership and in the operations office. So it's a joint function that makes this thing move forward. It's not what I say or what I don't say. Well, I think AI as a whole is so transformative to the future of everything that we do. It's not just SciLifeLab, it's not just the DDLS program, it's not just life science, it's not just academic world, it's everything around us. And the wheels that are turning now are really, really big wheels. There's more investment going to AI than anything that humankind has ever invested into. So it's also guaranteeing that this is not just something that goes out of fashion in a few years. This will be a transformative change in many ways. And therefore I feel that it's something that we should be working on at SciLifeLab. We should be emphasizing it, everybody. This is something that concerns every person at SciLifeLab. The world is a totally different place 10 years from now. And that's the simple reason why I keep it up on the front all the time in everything that we do.
Yeah, it seems like you think it's on a personal level kind of fun as well. To like.
It is absolutely a fun thing, because it is a once in a lifetime that AI all of a sudden becomes more intelligent than people. So this is a fun moment in some ways. It's also dangerous, or maybe danger is the wrong word, frightening moment to many. as to how will we cope this transition. But I tend to view things positively. Yes, there are ethical, legal, social challenges in the use of AI, but we need to investigate them, and as an academic community our role is to develop knowledge and science and evidence to build on how we can make use of it. But I think at the end the positive things outweigh the negative ones, but it's not going to be easy to manage all the ramifications and risks of AI either. Well, it's obviously in many ways a little bit sad to leave everything behind as a sort of a director level role, but that's also very healthy, and that's normal that these kinds of leadership roles are term limited. So in that sense it's a little bit sad, but then on the other hand a big relief that I don't feel the responsibility anymore of all of the little details that need to be done still to make this organization go forward. Like we just have international evaluations this spring, and they were usually very positive towards the development of SciLifeLab, but had tons of advice and suggestions that we should implement in the future. And it was good to listen to them, but see that now others will take these things forward, and that's cool, and that's good. And I don't need to play a role in that way anymore. Mixed blessings, in other words. As an effort that I really hope will go forward after my time as well is to kind of get the career structure and the roles of infrastructure scientists in the academia clarified. So presently they kind of lack career options or clear career ladders, and we should really reward and make sure as to how these people are appreciated and evaluated, and how they can progress and develop in their important roles. Academia is built based on scientific merits and for people who do their own research, and not for the people that help others in doing the science, but both are equally important. So that's what I think needs to happen in the future at all levels, at the government level, at the university level, and in the level of the infrastructures. I do continue as a DDLS director, at least for the time being. And I think that's a really fantastic program, and I think we are just in the very beginning of it. This will grow substantially in the years to come, and I think we are already seeing that some of the young people that we recruited are the ones that really take the transition and the transformation of life science to a new level. And without new recruitment, without new blood, without new thinking, it would be much more difficult to have a big organization like SciLifeLab to change. I mean, most people just continue business as usual, and if AI comes around, they say, well, good, but I'll continue my work. So therefore it's important to also bring others from the outside who are at the cutting edge of the new wave, in a way, and then spread the knowledge and the excitement around. So I think that will be very much a fun effort in the years to come. One thing that life science needs, which we have also discussed extensively in SciLifeLab and what our advisors have pointed out to us, you need data handling. I mean, all of our infrastructures create fantastic results, but often it is quite challenging for the scientists to manage the data that they are getting and making insights from the data. So essentially this is the data-driven life science. I think it is a key part of the future of SciLifeLab, and something that again runs through the whole organization. How you manage data, how you prepare data, how you analyze data, how you make data available, how others can make use of your data, and how you integrate it across domains in different areas of science. So I think that's one aspect that certainly is needed. The other is perhaps continued technology development and adaptation. So the world has been changed by new technologies, and SciLifeLab is at the cutting edge of adopting new technologies and making them available to the research community, and I see this just accelerating, and this will be transformative for the future as well. The future is going to be fantastic. It's just that we don't know what the future is going to be.